Hi there, good evening. It is time to find out who will face who in the first ever European Championship to span the continent. The draw for next summer's finals is just moments away. Two home nations are already assured of their participation at Euro 2020, England and Wales. But there are dangers lurking, as either team could face European champions Portugal or world champions France, or indeed both in their group. Rob Dorset and Dharma Sheth are with us in the studio to provide live updates and the key facts on all of the home nations. And we are live too at the draw itself in Bucharest, one of 12 host cities. We will speak to Brian Swanson in the Romanian capital as he interviews the big names of European football. So it's almost time for the draw to take place and every country involved to find out their fate. But this draw sadly isn't quite as simple as drawing balls out of bowls and into groups. For Euro 2020 we have a few added complications such as host nations, playoff paths and plenty more besides. So here is our guide to make today's group stage draw crystal clear.
Next year's European Championships will have a brand new format. Just like in 2016, the tournament will consist of 24 teams. Those teams will be divided into 6 groups of 4. 20 teams have already qualified. The final 4 qualifiers will be decided when the Euro 2020 playoffs take place in March next year. Euro 2020 begins on June the 12th and the final will be held at Wembley Stadium on July the 12th. In total, 51 matches will take place across 31 days of competition. Euro 2020 will be held across the continent for the first time in the competition's 60-year history. In total, there will be 12 host cities. Games from each of the 6 groups will take place in 2 cities. Games for Group A will be held in Rome in Italy and Baku in Azerbaijan. St. Petersburg in Russia and Copenhagen in Denmark will play host to Group B. Group C's games will take place in Amsterdam in the Netherlands and Bucharest in Romania. Group D's fixtures will take place at Wembley Stadium in London and Hampden Park in Glasgow. Group E will be held in Bilbao in Spain and at Dublin's Aviva Stadium. And finally, games from Group F will take place in Munich in Germany and Budapest in Hungary. Of the 12 host nations, 7 have already secured qualification. Those are Denmark, England, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Russia and Spain. Of the remaining 5 host nations, 4 could still qualify via the playoffs in March. Those are Hungary, the Republic of Ireland, Romania and Scotland. Azerbaijan cannot qualify for the tournament. The seedings for Euro 2020 have been determined by each nation's record in qualifying. The 6 top seeds are Belgium, England, Italy, Germany, Spain and Ukraine. World Cup winners France are in Pot 2 alongside Poland, Switzerland, Croatia, the Netherlands and Russia. Defending champions Portugal are in Pot 3 with Turkey, Denmark, Austria, Sweden and the Czech Republic. The 4 playoff winners will be in Pot 4 alongside Wales and Finland. As for the playoffs, 16 nations will be competing for the final 4 places at Euro 2020. The teams have been divided into 4 playoff paths, with 1 qualifier from each. In Path A, Iceland will take on Romania, while Bulgaria will play Hungary. Path B will see Bosnia and Herzegovina face Northern Ireland, while Slovakia will face the Republic of Ireland. In Path C, Scotland will play Israel, while Norway will play Serbia. Georgia will face Belarus in Path D, while North Macedonia will play Kosovo. Those games will take place in March.
So as far as today's draw is concerned, this is what we do know already before a single ball comes out of a single bowl and drawn into a group. Pot 1 teams are already in their group. So they are Italy, Belgium, Ukraine, England, Spain, Germany, as are the other qualified host nations. So that is Russia, Denmark and the Netherlands. What about the host nations? Well, in Group D, England know that they will face the winner of playoff Path C, which could be Scotland. What about Wales? Well, Wales can only be drawn into Groups A or B, so they will definitely either face Italy or be in this group here with Belgium, Russia and Denmark. And for Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, they are both in playoff Path B, and that means that they will definitely be taking on Spain in Group E if they make it through to the tournament proper. So let's wander over this way. As you can see, Brian Swanson is waiting to speak to us out in Bucharest. Brian, very good evening to you. Just give us a little flavour of what's happening out there, and also who is there to represent the home nations in Bucharest?
Yeah, David, the draw just getting underway here in the Expo Centre in Bucharest. UEFA are very proud of these showpiece events, so as you might expect, plenty of music. We're just waiting in the next couple of minutes before that first ball is drawn. The managers emerged a short time ago up the glitzy, glamorous red carpet. Gareth Southgate, one of the first to arrive, along with the FA Chair, Greg Clark, and Chief Executive Mark Bullingham. 3 years to the day of Southgate's announcement as permanent England's manager. Wales represented by Ryan Giggs. Of course, such a strong European Championships for them back in 2016 when they reached the semi-finals. In terms of Scotland, Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland, there's no obligation for the managers to be here today because they attended the playoff draw last week. They were there in attendance, so they didn't need to be here today, but every one of the 20 qualified managers will have to come through this, which is known as the mixed zone in the media, so every manager will have to face us. We're in Group D, positioned for Gareth Southgate to come out very soon after this draw before we then hot-foot it to either A or B to see Ryan Giggs. Not long to go now before England and Wales find out their opponents next summer.
Fantastic. Brian, for the moment, thank you very much indeed. So, well, as Brian said, pot one not too far away, just around 5 minutes from being drawn. We should see England confirmed in Group D because we know they are one of the host nations and their home games will be played at Wembley Stadium. As you can see, Rob Dorset and Adama Sheth are here with me, waiting with anticipation, I'm sure. Rob, I mean, there are obviously two real dangers in this draw that Gareth Southgate would like to avoid, aren't there?
Yeah, I mean, look, it is the strangest European draw we've ever had. As simple as that, because with so many host nations, as you've just explained, it's very complicated. But from an England perspective, they will be paranoid about getting France and Portugal as the two teams in their group, and potentially Scotland as the third in there as well. So you've got a strange scenario here where England are very highly seeded, and yet, if you look at those those stats there, they could get the reigning world champions France from pot 2, and the reigning European champions Portugal from pot 3, and then, as you've pointed out, Scotland from point 4 as well. So a really strange one where they could get that group of death, and yet we already know England cannot be paired with Italy, the Netherlands, Spain, Germany, or any of the other 6 host nations, Azerbaijan, Russia, Romania, Ireland, Hungary, Denmark. As seeds, they can't be with Belgium or the Ukraine. So there's a lot of teams we know England can't get, but yes, France and Portugal are the two they will be most concerned about because there's utter quality there for Gareth Southgate's team.
Let's look at the positives, shall we? Because myself and Rob were speaking before, and we were talking about the world champions France, the European champions Portugal, and of course Scotland, the unknown quantity of what would be a derby game, wouldn't it, between the two of them?
Oldest international rivalry in football.
But if you look at what the positive scenarios could be for England, I'm sure Gareth Southgate, if he came out of that draw with Switzerland, Austria and Israel, I'm sure he'd take that. I'm sure England would fancy their chances of not only qualifying but top of the group as well.
Well, it's great. I'm sure this is what fans have been doing all day back home as well, because I think if England got Poland, Turkey and Israel that we agree on, that would be the dream scenario as well. But it all comes down to permutations, because what you've got here is a scenario where all of the seedings are based on how teams qualified. So the fact that France are reigning world champions, the fact that Belgium are ranked second in the FIFA world rankings is irrelevant. It's how they got on in qualifying, and that's skewed things an awful lot. That's why you've got Portugal, the reigning European champions, in pot 3, which is extraordinary.
Yeah,
and that's never happened before in European
And remember, you know, they've not just that, but they've reached finals before, etc. We've got also a scenario, Rob, with Belgium being a top seed, but playing all of their matches away because they're not one of the host nations.
Well, exactly. And so there draws have taken place that hadn't hit an awful lot of publicity, where 2 host nations are in the same group to see which venue it's going to be played at. Of course, England don't have to worry about any of that because they've already qualified. Even if they get Scotland, they will play at Wembley. All 3 of their group games are at Wembley. And I think that's the key to this for England. Even if they were to get France and Portugal, the nightmare group, the group of death that Darms and I have both been talking about, even that, they'd have home advantage at Wembley and know that, OK, the next 2 knockout stages, if they get to there, they'd both be away from home. Semi-finals and finals both at Wembley. There's a huge carrot there for England.
Yes, what an incentive that is. OK, fantastic. More from Robin from Damesh to come. The Pot 1 teams are about to be drawn out in Bucharest. So who will be facing France or Portugal? Could it be England? Or will they avoid that fate? We're about to find out here on Welcome back. The Euro 2020 draw is just getting started in Bucharest with the 6 Pot 1 teams. 4 of the host nations, England, Spain, Germany and Italy, are joined by the 2 remaining top seeds. That's Ukraine and Belgium. Let's just give you a brief reminder of their impressive qualification campaigns.
Romelu Lukaku. Good pass. De Bruyne! What about that for a finish?
Sweeter than that.
And Rashford makes it 3. Delightfully done.
1-on-1 with Van Dijk. That chasing all the way, but he can't stop it. What a goal! German Form in crisis? Maybe not.
It's got to be tempting here. He is! Oh! Fabulous strike from Jesus Navas.
Chance for a second. Taken brilliantly. Yarmolenko has made it 2-0 to Ukraine.
OK, so we're keeping a very, very close eye on what's going on in Bucharest. Just to remind you of the draw procedure, teams are drawn starting with pot 1 and assigned to groups in alphabetical order. And then a ball is drawn to determine the position of that team in the group, A1, A2, A3, A4. That determines not just where they will play, but also when they will play. So the first ball out of the bowl is Ukraine, and we know for a fact they will already be in Group C. Now, this first pot, we know where the teams will end up, so we won't spend too long on that. But we've got a situation here, Dharmesh, where we've got 36 teams, ultimately, who are waiting to find out their fate. 20 we know, 16 who've got to go through the playoff paths. And, of course, it's a 24-team tournament, but you've got to last 16. So, you know, you've got a situation here where it's actually quite difficult not to get through to the knockout stages.
Just before the break, weren't we? We were talking about the various scenarios that England could find themselves in. We're saying, oh, please let them avoid the world champions France. Please let them avoid the European champions Portugal. But as you say, 24 teams. It's going to be very, very difficult, actually, for a team like England not to qualify for the last 16. The top 2 in each group go through, bear with me, and the best 4 third-place teams of the 6 groups will go through. So if they were to get a tough group, the likelihood is that England would still qualify from that group, and then they would avoid 2 of the biggest teams that they would have drawn in the group in the immediate last 16 knockout stage. I know I might be preempting things a little bit, but I'm being a confident England fan here. Look, if they do draw 2 of the toughest teams that they could have done, I don't think it's not.
Just before you continue this discussion, again, we're just keeping your eye on what's going on in the groups, because they are allocated position as well. So Ukraine are C2 and Spain are E1. Again, this is to do really with when and where they play. Their opponents are decided as and when pots 2, 3 and 4 are drawn out. Sorry, back to you, Rob.
No, but I think Darms makes a really interesting point there. That won't be the way Gareth Southgate looks at it. He'll want positive results in the group stages to build a momentum, exactly as it happened with England at the World Cup in Russia. Positive results to build a momentum, build some confidence in the team and in the supporter group, because all those games are at Wembley. But you can't forget just what a dreadful record England have in European championships. And if they were to start badly, as you suggest, against decent teams, you just wonder what that would do for morale and confidence. I mean, bear in mind, only once have England advanced past the initial group stages in the last 36 years. So 9 tournaments.
And where was that tournament held?
In England,
right.
1996. That's why people are looking at this now thinking it's a chance for England. But they have an appalling record in the Euros. They got knocked out by Iceland last time.
The team who knocked them out in the Euros in 1996 was, of course, Germany on penalties. And, of course, Gareth Southgate has talked a lot about it's not about redemption. You know,
well, he missed one of those penalties in that shootout as well, didn't he?
Of course, the decisive one. Germany, by the way, are F4 in their particular group, and now Belgium are being drawn. We know they're going to be in Group B. We'll confirm their position. But 5 out of 7 games that England could play will be in England. We talked about the sort of home advantage. This does have a few echoes of Euro '96, doesn't it?
For 5 out of 7, he's already looking to England winning
final.
Euro 2020. What is interesting about this draw, though, as well, up until now we've had one host nation, haven't we? And the host nation is the only country that has automatically qualified for their own European Championships. This time we've got 12 host nations. 7 of them have qualified already. There is a possibility that the other 5 may not make their own tournament effectively, because Scotland, Romania, Hungary and Ireland, they are all doing as a host, and Azerbaijan haven't qualified at all.
Yeah.
But I think we've got news of England.
Yes, England are coming out of their bowl right now. We're about to find out exactly what position they're going to be. So we know that they're going to be in Group D. We know that they will face the winner of playoff path C, which is the one that includes Scotland, but also Norway, Serbia and Israel. And just having a look at the position as it's drawn, and they will be D1. So that is, again, just confirming the position. That means their first game is on June the 14th. Who will they face? We are about to find out as the remaining balls are drawn in pots 2, 3 and 4.
Just the point there, we see this with the Champions League draw all the time, don't we? UEFA love drawing this out. I mean, this initial draw, we're not really learning anything. Let's be absolutely honest. What's going on right now over in Zurich with Brian Swanson watching on, is largely irrelevant.
Well, it's about, as I mentioned before, it's logistics, isn't it?
It is, yeah, absolutely. But it starts
But the
the
first
draw as a
question
real
you
damn
ask,
squib.
the first question you ask is, who are we playing? Who are we playing?
And we don't know.
Yes, exactly. We will find out once pot 2 is out. So then finally we've got Italy, and they will be position A2. So now we know for sure, it's all been confirmed. Nothing's gone wrong. I think that's the main thing.
Well done, UEFA.
That UEFA have not made a mess of that first pot, and that's all gone to plan. So just to confirm, Italy will be position A2, Belgium B3, Ukraine C2, England D1, first game June the 14th, Spain E1, and Germany are F4. So pot 1 has been assigned onto pot 2, where it starts to get interesting. 6 nations, including the world champions France, who've also won the Euros twice in 1984 and 2000. And joining them in pot 2 are Poland, Switzerland, Croatia, England have plenty of previous with them, 1988 European champions, the Netherlands, and Russia, who actually won the first Euros as the Soviet Union back in 1960. Let's have a look at their goals from qualifying.
Pogba. Oh, wonderful ball. Fantastic finish. Decisive football from France.
Lewandowski comes forward, drives on. Lewandowski somehow found the space and finds the corner with a classic Robert Lewandowski goal.
Xhaka! That is sensational.
Modric finding a way through. Perisic, who set up the first, has the second for Croatia. Oh, brilliant! What a fantastic finish! Wijnaldum caps and tops an amazing evening for the Netherlands.
That is a superb strike from Magomed Ozdoev. They have a firm grip on the game now.
So we have the first ball out of pot 2, which is being drawn, which is Switzerland. Now, actually, as far as England are concerned, Euro 96 first group game, that was a draw, wasn't it, before England went on the run. Shearer scored all the goals. They made it through to the semi-finals. Of course, also, they admittedly beat them in comfortably, it was, at Euro 2004. Let's see where they're going to end up. They're going to be position A4. So Switzerland, we know, are going to be in Italy's group, which could also contain Wales. Don't forget, because Wales can only be in Group A or Group B. But that is a team that maybe you would have liked.
Well, this is the one we were talking about positively. I mean, my positive group for England would have contained Switzerland. I know Rob was maybe potentially saying Turkey and Poland, but I was saying Switzerland. So that one's gone. I'm sure Italy fans won't mind that one at all.
Look,
so it
England
increases the chances.
England have never lost to Switzerland in the European Championships, in qualifying or in the finals. So, yes, it would have been a good one, but it's gone. We move on. Italy have got that one.
It increases the chances of France and
Netherlands have just come out. We did know that Netherlands were always going to be in Group C, by the way. We showed you that earlier, but they are confirmed in position C1 in the same group as Ukraine. Those are the two certainties in that group that we know, along with the fact that they'll be playing a team that emerges from one of the playoff paths, A or D. They're keeping a very close eye on what the next ball to be drawn out. Ruud Gullit is down with all the responsibility here, and it is Russia. And again, Russia, we know they're going to be in Group B. They are one of the host nations in Group B, along with Denmark. And actually, already we know that a draw was taking place between those two as to who would play at home in the group between Russia and Denmark, because they're both host nations. They obviously can't both be at home. And it was Denmark who came through that. So they'll play 3 games in Copenhagen, and Russia will play 2, the other game in Copenhagen. Russia are confirmed as position B4.
Just a word on Netherlands there, just as they were drawn, and they're in C1, they're with Ukraine, of course. They will play all of their group games in the Amsterdam Johan Cruyff Arena. So that's possibly one from pot 2 that other clubs, we knew that they were going to be in C, but that's a tough one for whoever gets in that group.
Croatia are out of the bowl, and now we need to find out exactly where they will be drawn. Of course, memories of the World Cup semi-finals last year. Could they end up?
Let's think more about the Nations League.
Yeah.
Or maybe even
Do you know what?
the
In the
Nations League.
that really marked England. There was a lot of criticism of England in the World Cup because they didn't beat anybody good, apparently. They beat Spain and Croatia in the
they
Nations
will
League.
have to face England, because they have been drawn. Position D2, so England versus Croatia once again. Memories also, that we go further back, of a Theo Walcott hat-trick in Zagreb in qualifying. And, of course, dare we say, Wally with a brolly moment when England were denied a place at Euro 2008 when Croatia came and won at Wembley. Now we've got Poland, who've come out of the groups, and now we know it can only go in E or F. So we'll find out exactly where Poland end up. Will they play their neighbours Germany? Or will they play Spain? We're about to find out in which group and indeed in which position they will be drawn. So this is just coming out right now, and it's Marcel Desailly who's got it's E3. So we know that Spain will take on Poland in their group. Okay, so Spain is perhaps a kinder draw, you would imagine.
I don't think that's a bad draw for Spain. But do you know what? Croatia, I don't think is a bad draw for England. Yes, they're incredible. I mean, look at the talent they've got.
And look who that leaves for Germany.
It is France. And we know that France will definitely come out in Germany's group, which is Group F.
Germany were the only country, actually, who did not know any of their opponents 100% before this draw was made. There was at least one country we knew in each of the other groups that the top-seeded team were going to know. Germany knew nobody. Well, they know now.
They do, and they've been drawn, France, in position F3. So that is Germany and France in the same group, two of the real titans of European football. Also, just to remind you, before we get on to the next pot, Switzerland have come out in Italy's group, which is Group A. We've also had Russia confirmed in Belgium's group, which is Group B. We knew that before the draw took place. The Netherlands also in Ukraine's group. Again, this was already a certainty before we started the draw. England will face Croatia once again, and a chance potentially for revenge for that World Cup semi-final defeat 2 Junes ago. Also, Poland are drawn in Spain's group, and France are drawn in Germany's group.
And incidentally, France-Germany, the opening game of that group, of Group F, what a game that's going to be.
I just wonder if the equivalent programme in Germany are saying the one we want to avoid is France and Portugal. Let's wait and see if they get Portugal in their group now.
Let's find out. Yeah, it would absolutely be. Time for pot 3. Will we see Cristiano Ronaldo at Wembley in a Portugal shirt this summer? The defending European champions want to avoid for both England and Wales. Who else is in pot 3 though? Portugal joined by Turkey, Denmark. Remember they won the Euros in '92. Austria, Sweden, Czech Republic, who won in 1976 as Czechoslovakia. Here's how they made it through.
Danilo rides the challenge. Sensational goal. Portugal draw level in spectacular style. Çalhanoğlu scores a wonderful goal. The master technician in full flow. Oh, there is a break through the middle. Paulson has been played in. He's away. Keeper to beat, and he does that. It's a goal for Denmark, and what a huge goal it could be.
About that, it's a special strike from Marcel Sabitzer.
Helped on by Klaesen. Marcus Berg, lovely little touch, and it's in. Klaesen makes it 2. What a fabulous goal from Sweden.
There he is, the man, the debutant, Zdeněk Ondráček. What a way to announce yourself.
So just before we continue, Turkey are now been drawn in Group A. They have position A1. So we know now that Italy will face Turkey and Switzerland. That is a relatively kind draw now, isn't it, for the Azzurri? You'd have to say Italy.
It happens all the time. Italy or Germany. I mean, in fact, Germany got a difficult draw with France in there, but Italy always seem to get a decent draw, don't they? Don't they? Is that just me? But look, going back to England-Croatia, I mean, we've got to be quick because they keep on coming. Austria have just been drawn out there. Go on, David.
Yeah, so Austria, we know they can go into any group apart from Group B, which already has Denmark in it, and that will be confirmed by UEFA in a bit. But Austria, again, one of those teams that you would probably hope to draw if you're one of the stronger nations.
He's got his fingers crossed right now.
Yeah, absolutely right. They have played before. They drew 2-2 away in Vienna, but beat them at home, England, when they played them before. They end up in Group C and position C3. So Austria will play Ukraine and the Netherlands. So, well, that's an interesting group, but you would favour certainly the Netherlands and Ukraine to get through that.
If you look at the other countries in that group now, they will fancy their chances of going through if they've only got one notable powerhouse in that group. They'll look at themselves and think, look, if we can pick up a couple of points or a win or two against the other teams, we're through.
And
Okay,
Ukraine
Czech
finished top of their
Republic.
group. They were cruising. Ukraine are actually in really good form. They're a more dangerous side than you realise, I think.
Czech Republic are out of the bag. Where will they end up? Of course, they were part of England's Euro qualifying group to get to this tournament.
Beat England.
So, yes, they did indeed in Prague, having lost
50-50
heavily.
chance for England here.
Yes, it is. And they end up in D4. So
go,
England
England.
have got Croatia and the Czech Republic, and Czech Republic are drawn in position 4.
It looks okay
so
for England at the moment.
which means, by the way, just before we complete this, Portugal or Sweden are the remaining teams in pot 3.
Group F is looking very tasty
Can
indeed.
you
So
imagine
England have
those teams.
avoided Portugal, that's what we can say.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is huge, but
Yep.
of course Czech Republic beat them not in qualifying for these Euros.
And
the
France.
first time England have lost a qualifier in 43 games. So psychologically, that's not great for England, but you'd certainly take it ahead of Portugal, wouldn't you?
Yeah, Denmark, by the way, have come out. Once again, we knew they were going to be in Group B, and so their position is just being confirmed, and they are B1. So that is Group B as we already knew it. Denmark B1, Russia B2, Belgium B3. Don't forget, you can keep across those graphics on the side and the bottom of your screen. So we take a very quick break, and we'll be right back with the Euro 2020 draw. Welcome back to this Euro 2020 draw. England face Croatia and the Czech Republic in their group, which is Group D. Of course, plenty of previous with both of these teams. Croatia, who of course beat them in the World Cup semi-finals last year, and Czech Republic, who recently beat England in Prague, as Darmasheth was telling us, but they did win the opening game of that qualifying campaign, which was against Czech Republic in Wembley. But the group of death is really quite that. Germany, France, Portugal, and then whoever gets through playoff paths D or A. But my goodness, what a Group F that is.
Group F, that is extraordinary. I mean, we talked, didn't we, before the draw started, about the teams that England wanted to avoid, and we all agreed unanimously, of course, France and Portugal.
We said Germany
have got them,
yeah.
And it was Philipp Lahm who was drawing them out.
Yeah, and remember
and of
that
course,
this...
France-Portugal in the same group, a repeat of the Euro 2016 final in France, where Portugal went to France and they won 1-0.
And it was the famous Ronaldo injury, and Eder it was, who scored in extra time to really stun the home fans. They managed to win the World Cup 2 years later, as it was anyway.
The point I'd make is that, the point that Darmesh made right at the start, look, the top two in any group go through automatically. So that's 2 of Portugal, France and Germany. Whoever comes out next, almost guaranteed. Yeah. And 4 of the 6 third-place teams go through as well. So you could well see Portugal, France and Germany making it through to the knockout stages anyway. I'd just say that as a proviso.
Yeah, just to recap, England, Croatia, Czech Republic, I mean, Gareth Southgate, I would imagine, would be relatively happy with that.
Do you know what? I think England will be happy with that draw, but I think Croatia and Czech Republic won't be too unhappy either. They've played each other so many times recently, these three countries, and both can claim a kind of psychological advantage. Croatia can say, we've actually beaten you in a major finals in the last 2 years. We've beaten you in the World Cup semi-finals. Czech Republic weren't expected to beat England when they faced each other in the Euro 2020 qualifiers, and they did just that in Prague.
Here's a good one for you. The winner of Group D, the winner of England's group, will play the runners-up.
My goodness.
Of Group F.
Yeah, wow. So
bear in mind, we're sitting here smiling our faces off, saying that Group F looks an absolute nightmare. If England win the group, they'll face one of those three teams as runners-up.
That game will take place at the Aviva Stadium, by the way, in Dublin. Should England win their group, whoever they play, the runner-up of the Group F. Just so you're aware, the draw is taking place. You can see the graphics at the bottom left of your screen, and the top 4 teams are essentially the lowest-ranked teams in the draw, and we know a number of these already. So the playoff paths A and D. It's a little bit complicated, but they will be drawn in Groups C and F. Wales have now come out of the bag. We know they can only be in Group A or B. A, it's Italy, Switzerland and Turkey, and B, it's Belgium, Russia and Denmark. So we're about to find out which group Wales will end up in.
They want A, don't they?
And they will end up in A.
A3, that's good for Wales.
Wales have got Italy, Switzerland and also Turkey. Ryan Giggs, what will he make of that, Dharmesh?
I think he'd have taken that, wouldn't he? He'd have definitely taken that before the draw was made. The other option he could have had would have been in a group with Belgium and Denmark and Russia. Compare that to Turkey, Italy and Switzerland.
It's definitely a better draw. But the one thing I would say is, of course, Wales made the semi-finals in the last Euros with that incredible run, and they beat Belgium and Russia on the way. Exactly. So psychologically, if they'd had that group, they might have thought, quite fancy that. But I think Giggs will be happier.
This is the other thing about the positions being key, and also Wales being drawn in Group A. We know that Azerbaijan are one of the host nations, Baku is one of the host cities, and Wales will have back-to-back games in Baku, which means obviously less logistics problem. They can stay in the same place. They can prepare in the same place. So hopefully that is also a good sign for Ryan Giggs. So we know also that playoff path C winner will draw into England's group. So that could be Scotland, but equally it could be Norway, Serbia or Israel. And playoff path B winner gets drawn into Spain's group, which contains Poland and Sweden.
Just a point about Wales fans watching this now, though. Whichever group they were drawn in, A or B, it was going to be a heck of a travel, a heck of a journey and expense for those Wales fans. If they're in A, as we know they are now, they'll play Italy in Rome's Stadio Olimpico in that game, because they're one of the host nations. All the others are going to be in Baku's Olympic Stadium, so they've got a long way to go. They've got 2 matches in Baku. If they'd been in Group B, they would have had 2 matches in St. Petersburg, with having to get visas and all the rest of it.
Either way.
So poor old Wales fans, it was never going to be easy. They've got 2 games in Baku now to try and sort out travel.
I think they'll fancy their chances of making the last 16 at least, though.
Yeah.
With that draw.
They may have beaten Belgium in the last Euros. They beat them 3-1 to get through to the semi-finals, where they eventually lost to Portugal. But Belgium, in the form that they're in, they were a team certainly to avoid. They ended up being in Group A. Just so to confirm that Finland have been drawn in Group B as we expected, and Scotland, who are playoff path C, have been drawn in Group D. Again, that was already clear because Scotland are also a host nation. They have games at Hampden Park in Glasgow. So if they get through their playoff path, but that first involves beating Israel and then beating Norway or Serbia away, then that would mean they take their place in the group as it is at the end.
And it'll be England, Scotland at Wembley.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
If they get there.
If they get
Gaza.
there. Yeah.
Dentist chairs.
Yeah. Again, Euro 96.
All the rest of it.
It's coming up an awful lot.
But one point I'd make about Wales, I think you're right that Ryan Giggs will be happier. Arguably, they've got an easier draw than England, and yet you've got Wales in pot 4. And England in pot 1 as one of the seeded teams. But look at it, Wales have got Turkey, Italy and Switzerland. England have got Croatia, the Czech Republic and 1 to be confirmed.
Yeah.
I think Wales will think they've got a better draw than England there. And yet they're in pot 4.
Yeah.
This is where you look at this draw, the draw from UEFA, and it does throw up some questions because it's so complicated.
And given, as we were saying before, that it's a 24-team tournament and 16 have to go through to a last 16, so the best 4 third places also go through. It's difficult for Wales to finish bottom of that group, isn't it?
I mean, look, they're all good teams. They've all qualified. But yes, look, Italy away will be a difficult game, won't it? Italy and Rome is always going to be a very tough game. But that won't be their first game. Their first game will be against Switzerland. So that's a fairly gentle introduction for Wales, isn't it, you have to say. And I think Ryan Giggs will be fairly hopeful they can get a result. And with all of these things, if you can get a win in that opening day, you're almost guaranteed to qualify, aren't you? 3 points in the opening group game, and you're going to finish in the top 3 places and probably one of the best 4 runners-up.
I think everyone in Group A, if they look at it, they'll know Italy have got all their home games in Rome. So that they might, I'm not going to say they're going to write it off, but they're going to be underdogs in those fixtures.
Yeah.
The other three will think to themselves, right, it's our cup finals now.
Yeah.
If we can get results against these other teams, we can make it into the last 16 of Euro 2020.
By the way, this is something that was sort of decided before the draw, but there's a lot of kind of perhaps chatter and confusion about the playoff paths A and D. So A involves Iceland, Romania, Bulgaria and Hungary, and D involves Georgia, Belarus, North Macedonia and Kosovo. The problem is the Romania and Hungary are both host nations. So they can't sort of both go into one group or not be in either group. So what they've decided is this. If Romania get through the playoff path, they will be in Group C. And if they don't, Iceland, Bulgaria, Hungary, they will go into Group F. That's what would happen in that scenario. And the playoff path that accommodates that is playoff path D, which contains Georgia, Belarus, North Macedonia and Kosovo.
I'm glad
Clear
you said that.
as mud. Let's take you then through the draw in full. So we know that England's group contains Croatia, Czech Republic and the winner of playoff path C, which could well be Scotland. Again, we mentioned that obviously Gareth Southgate would probably like to avoid Scotland because of obviously that being the oldest rivalry and the atmosphere there'll be at Wembley. England, by the way, we're just hearing, have just been installed as favourites to win this group and Euro 2020 as a whole. That would be really quite something. Let's just tell you then about Wales's group. Let's confirm that for you once again because they're the other home nation who we know are involved in Euro 2020. They are in Group A. They're in position 3. Italy, Switzerland and Turkey are their opponents. On we go then. Group B looks like this. Belgium, Russia, Denmark. We knew that already. And Finland have been confirmed in their group. So let's just confirm that for you here. That's erroneous. That is not where Wales are. Wales are in Group A, but that group contained Belgium, Russia, Denmark and Finland. Group C, Ukraine, Netherlands, Austria, and the winner of playoff path A or D. Spain have an interesting group. Poland perhaps a kind draw there. Sweden as well, and the winner of playoff path B. And remember that playoff path B contains Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, who could in fact meet each other at Windsor Park to decide who actually ends up in that group. And then the group, which really is the one that's grabbing all the headlines here, Germany, France, Portugal, and the winner of playoff D or A. Who's your favourite then for this entire tournament now that you've got that draw in place, Rob?
It's so difficult to say, isn't it? It really is. I mean, look, the bookies don't get it often wrong. And I think what they've done is they've looked at the teams that could realistically win it. 3 of them are in Group F, the group of death, but you've got to include Italy, you've got to include England in that. And England, we cannot overstate the advantage they have of 3 group games at Wembley, 2 knockout games if they get there away from home, the first one, as you mentioned, in Dublin, and then a quarter-final elsewhere, a semi-final and a final potentially at Wembley. That's why I'm sure England have been installed as favourites, and they've managed to avoid France and Portugal in this draw.
France are second favourites, Belgium are third favourites, but if you look at their groups, I mean, Belgium's obviously a lot easier than France is.
You'd expect Belgium to go through, you'd expect France to go through as well. We were discussing this earlier. I know that Group F looks... I mean, I just can't wait for it, to be honest with you. Portugal, France and Germany all in the same group. But I think you'd expect maybe all 3 of them still to qualify for the last 16, unless 2 of them really run away with the group and then the third place team doesn't make it into that first 4 places of the third place team. So England have got to look further ahead than their group, though. So everyone is talking about maybe England being favourites because Wembley is a destination potentially for the semi-finals and the final as well. But in between the group and getting to the latter stages, they're going to have to go away from home.
OK.
And that could be the problem.
Well, Gareth Southgate, you would imagine, is relatively OK with this draw. Croatia, Czech Republic in the winner of playoff path C. Ryan Giggs, his Welsh side. Italy, Switzerland and Turkey for Euro 2020. Reaction to come.